Every time you see someone standing next to a rented Lamborghini promising to teach you their secret system, you're witnessing a carefully orchestrated psychological attack designed to separate you from your money. Whether it's a drop-shipping course in Manchester or an Amazon FBA scheme in Miami, you're facing the same enemy: professional manipulators who've turned financial desperation into their business model. You think you're investing in your future, but you're actually funding their lifestyle while they laugh all the way to the bank. Your dreams, your insecurities, your desire for financial freedom, all being systematically exploited by people who understand psychological manipulation better than you understand your own motivations. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a get-rich-quick scheme the same way again. Because once you see the psychological warfare being deployed against desperate people every single day, you can't unsee it. Let's start with the most obvious yet effective deception: the rented lifestyle. Notice how every single guru stands next to expensive cars, poses in front of mansions, or films themselves on private jets? None of this is accidental. This is psychological theater designed to trigger your aspiration and envy. That Lamborghini, rented for the day. That mansion, probably booked on a spare day they weren't filming The Real Housewives of somewhere or other. That private jet, either rented for an hour or they're just sitting in the terminal pretending they own the place. But here's the insidious part. These images aren't just showing you success. They're programming your brain to associate their face with wealth, luxury, and the lifestyle you desperately want. Every time you see them, your unconscious mind connects them with financial abundance. This is classical conditioning. They're training you to see them as successful, which makes you more likely to believe they can teach you their methods. Never mind that their only successful business is selling courses to people who want to be successful. The psychological manipulation goes deeper. They deliberately choose symbols that represent freedom, status, and power. Cars represent freedom of movement. Mansions represent security and status. Private jets represent ultimate financial freedom and time control. They're not selling you business education. They're selling you an identity. This is who you could become if you follow my system. But the cruel reality? Their wealth comes from selling that dream to thousands of people who will never achieve it. From Instagram influencers to YouTube gurus, they all use the same playbook. Rent the lifestyle, photograph it extensively, then use those images to sell courses on how to afford that lifestyle. The irony is breathtaking. They can only afford to rent the lifestyle because people keep buying their courses on how to afford it. It's like selling swimming lessons, but just for the shallow end of the pool. This offer expires in 24 hours. Only available to the first 50 people. I'll never offer this price again. Pure psychological warfare designed to override your rational decision-making process. These aren't real limitations. They're manufactured urgency tactics that exploit your fear of missing out and your brain's loss aversion mechanism. Here's what's really happening. Digital products have no inventory limitations. A course that can be sold to one person can be sold to 1 million people with zero additional cost. So when they say only 50 spots available, they're creating artificial scarcity around something that's about as limited as oxygen. The psychology is brutal. When something appears scarce, your brain interprets it as more valuable. When there's a time limit, your brain shifts from careful evaluation mode to panic decision mode. They're literally trying to make you buy before you have time to think. A well-known marketing guru showed this perfectly in a sales presentation. When the 50 spots are gone, they're gone, so you've got to act fast. But this is a digital system. There's no physical limitation preventing them from selling to person number 51, 151, or 1051. They use countdown timers, limited availability messaging, and exclusive access language to create false urgency around products that will be available indefinitely. The course that's closing forever will mysteriously reopen next week with a different name and slightly different packaging. It's like watching a magician's trick, except the rabbit keeps coming back because it never actually left. The cruelest manipulation? They target people who are already financially desperate. Someone struggling with money is more susceptible to scarcity psychology because scarcity is their daily reality. They exploit genuine financial fear to create artificial purchase urgency. Dating back to basic sales psychology, scarcity has always been a powerful motivator. But these gurus have industrialized it, turning fake limitations into a profit machine that preys on people's desperation and hope. Every guru course comes with the same cast of characters. The mom who made 6 figures in 6 months. The college student who quit his job after 30 days. The retiree who finally achieved financial freedom. These testimonials aren't testimonials. They're psychological weapons designed to make you believe that success is typical, achievable, and guaranteed if you just follow their system. About as genuine as a politician's promise during election season. But here's what they don't tell you. Those testimonials are often actors, cherry-picked success stories, or people who succeeded through completely different methods. The math alone should make you suspicious. If their system worked as advertised, everyone who bought it would be rich. Instead, less than 1% of people who buy these courses ever make meaningful money. The social proof manipulation goes deeper than fake testimonials. They buy followers, likes, and engagement to appear more successful than they actually are. That guru with 500,000 followers might have bought 400,000 of them. Those likes and comments? Purchased from click farms faster than you can say authentic engagement. They use student count inflation to seem more credible. Over 10,000 students have taken this course. But they count every free download, every email subscriber, every person who watched a free webinar as a student. The actual number of paying customers might be 100. The before and after income screenshots are particularly manipulative. They show revenue, not profit. They show their best month, not their average. They show gross sales, not accounting for refunds, chargebacks, and failed businesses. Someone might have made $50,000 in sales, but spent $60,000 on advertising and inventory. The survivor bias is staggering. They showcase the handful of people who succeeded while hiding the thousands who lost money, wasted time, or achieved nothing. It's like a casino only showing you videos of jackpot winners while hiding the millions of people who lost everything. What you're seeing isn't social proof. It's manufactured consent, designed to make failure look like success and exception look like typical results. Why do these courses always cost $97, $197, $497, or $997? It's not coincidence. It's weaponized pricing psychology designed to make you spend more money while feeling like you're getting a bargain. The number 7 triggers specific psychological responses. It feels precise, calculated, and scientific rather than arbitrary. A course priced at $100 feels like a round number someone picked randomly, possibly by throwing darts at a board. A course priced at $97 feels like someone did careful calculation to determine the exact value. Spoiler alert, they didn't. But the real manipulation is the price anchoring. They start by claiming their course is worth $5,000, $10,000, or even $50,000. Then they discount it to $997, making you feel like you're saving thousands of dollars on something that probably cost them $50 to create. A perfect example of this came from a well-known marketing guru who claimed his system cost him $29,000 to develop. but he was offering it for just one single payment of $997 today. As one astute observer noted, no way was this worth $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000. Isn't it funny how they reduce that price down to a low value that always ends in a 7? They use payment psychology to make expensive purchases feel affordable. Instead of saying $2,997, they say 3 easy payments of $997. Your brain focuses on the $997 figure and ignores the fact that you're actually paying nearly $3,000. The inflated value scam is everywhere. They'll bundle a bunch of worthless bonuses, PDF guides, recorded webinars, access to Facebook groups, and claim the total value is $11,552. But none of those bonuses cost them anything to provide, and most students never even access them. It's like claiming your sandwich is worth $500 because it comes with a free napkin, a plastic fork, and access to the restaurant's Wi-Fi password. The pricing psychology exploits your brain's inability to accurately assess digital product value. How do you value something that has no physical presence, no comparable products, and no objective success metrics? You rely on their artificial price signals, which they manipulate ruthlessly. It's the same psychological trick politicians use. Bad news becomes 0.5% increase instead of the actual monetary cost. But good news becomes 50,000 people helped instead of 0.25% improvement. Same numbers, completely different psychological impact. Gurus just apply this to pricing instead of policy. And speaking of artificial manipulation, I'm curious, how many of you have seen these exact tactics in your feeds? Drop a comment if any of this sounds familiar, because we're just getting started. I made $100,000 in my first month. This system generated $50,000 in 30 days. My students are making 6 figures with this simple method. These income claims aren't just exaggerated. They're psychologically crafted to exploit your relationship with money and success. Every number is chosen to trigger specific emotional responses while remaining just believable enough to bypass your skepticism. The income figures are always round, impressive numbers that sound achievable but extraordinary. They don't say $23,847 because that sounds random and small. They say $25,000 because it sounds significant and intentional. They don't say $156,000 because that sounds unbelievable. They say $100,000 because it's aspirational but not impossible. It's the financial equivalent of claiming you can run a marathon when you're perfectly capable of jogging to the shops. But here's the manipulation. They're almost always showing revenue, not profit. Someone might have generated $100,000 in sales, but spent $120,000 on advertising, inventory, and business expenses. The guru shows you the revenue number because it's bigger and more impressive, while hiding the fact that the student actually lost money. They use survivorship bias to make exceptional results look typical. Out of 10,000 course buyers, maybe 10 people achieved significant success. They showcase those 10 people constantly, while completely hiding the 9,990 who failed, broke even, or lost money. The timeline manipulation is particularly cruel. They claim someone made $50,000 in their first month, but they don't mention that person had previous business experience, existing capital, industry connections, or worked 80 hours a week. It's like saying someone easily climbed Everest, while conveniently forgetting to mention they're a professional mountaineer with a team of Sherpas. They make it sound like any beginner can achieve those results with minimal effort. The student results are often their own results, their business partner's results, or completely fabricated. There's no regulatory oversight for most of these claims, so they can say virtually anything without consequences. The psychological impact is devastating. They're targeting people who are financially struggling or dissatisfied with their income. Showing them inflated, manipulated success stories creates false hope and unrealistic expectations that lead to poor financial decisions. The modern get-rich-quick industry has weaponized job dissatisfaction into a profit machine. They don't just sell business education. They sell identity transformation from wage slave to entrepreneur, from employee to business owner, from broke to financially free. This isn't accidental. They deliberately frame traditional employment as slavery, prison, or failure. You're trading time for money. You're making someone else rich. You'll never be financially free with a job. They're not educating you about business. They're attacking your current identity to make you desperate for change. The psychology is insidious. They target people who are already dissatisfied with their work situation, which is most people, and amplify that dissatisfaction into desperation. They make steady employment sound like moral failure rather than financial stability. They exploit the fundamental human desire for autonomy, purpose, and financial security. Everyone wants more control over their time, more meaningful work, and more money. But instead of providing realistic paths to those goals, they sell impossible dreams that prey on those legitimate desires. The location independence fantasy is particularly manipulative. They show themselves working from beaches, traveling the world, setting their own schedules. But they don't show the 80-hour weeks, the constant stress, the feast or famine income, or the fact that most entrepreneurs fail within 5 years. It's all Instagram highlight reel, no behind-the-scenes reality show. They use social shame to motivate purchases. Are you going to stay stuck in your cubicle forever? While you're asking permission to take vacation, I'm booking flights to Bali. They make employment sound pathetic and entrepreneurship sound heroic. The cruel reality? Most people who quit their jobs to follow these systems end up in worse financial situations than when they started. They lose steady income, benefits, and career progression while chasing dreams that were designed to enrich the guru, not the student. But the identity exploitation goes deeper. They're not just selling business strategies. They're selling membership in an exclusive club of successful entrepreneurs who are supposedly smarter, more motivated, and more deserving than regular employees. The most morally reprehensible tactic these gurus use is turning your personal relationships into sales opportunities. They teach you to view friends, family members, and social connections not as human relationships, but as potential customers, business partners, or leads. This is MLM psychology, disguised as entrepreneurship education. They encourage you to share this amazing opportunity with everyone you know, turning dinner conversations into sales pitches and family gatherings into recruitment events. The psychological manipulation is particularly cruel because it exploits your existing trust networks. Your friends and family trust you, so when you recommend something, they're more likely to believe it's legitimate. The gurus are essentially using your credibility and relationships to expand their customer base. They frame this exploitation as helping people or sharing opportunities. But you're not helping anyone. You're becoming an unpaid sales agent for someone else's overpriced course. They've turned you into their marketing department while making you feel like you're doing people favors. The social pressure tactics are brutal. They teach you to handle objections, overcome resistance, and help people see the opportunity. These are sales techniques being deployed against your closest relationships. They're teaching you to manipulate the people who care about you most. The isolation effect is devastating. As you become more involved in these schemes, you start viewing people who don't join as negative, close-minded, or stuck in employee mindset. This creates psychological distance from anyone who might question what you're doing or offer rational perspective. They encourage you to find new friends who support your entrepreneurial journey, while gradually distancing yourself from people who express skepticism. This isolates you from voices of reason and surrounds you with other people who've been similarly manipulated. The relationship damage is often permanent. Friendships are destroyed, family relationships are strained, and social trust is broken. Even after people realize they've been scammed, the relationship damage from trying to recruit everyone they know often can't be repaired. The gurus profit from this destruction. Every relationship you strain in service of their business model makes you more dependent on their community, more isolated from outside perspectives, and more likely to continue paying for their courses and coaching. You're starting to see it now, aren't you? This isn't a collection of unfortunate marketing tactics used by well-intentioned business educators. This isn't accidental manipulation by people who don't understand psychology. This is coordinated psychological warfare, a systematic exploitation of human vulnerability, designed by people who understand your deepest fears, desires, and insecurities better than you do. Every element, from the rented Lamborghini in the thumbnail to the countdown timer on the checkout page, has been designed to maximize one thing: your likelihood of making an emotional purchase decision that benefits them and impoverishes you. Carl Jung understood that human behavior is driven by unconscious patterns, by psychological complexes that operate below our rational awareness. What you're seeing in the get-rich-quick industry isn't just clever marketing. It's the weaponization of a century of psychological research against people's financial vulnerabilities. These gurus have studied every aspect of financial psychology, every trigger that makes people act against their own interests, every weakness in human decision-making around money and success. And they've built business models that exploit these weaknesses systematically and ruthlessly. The lifestyle theater triggers your aspiration and inadequacy. The artificial scarcity triggers your fear of missing out. The social proof manufacturing triggers your need for validation and belonging. The pricing psychology triggers your reward systems. The income claims trigger your desperation and hope. The identity exploitation triggers your dissatisfaction and desire for change. The relationship weaponization isolates you from people who might protect you. None of this is accidental. All of it is designed to bypass your rational mind and speak directly to your unconscious fears, desires, and psychological vulnerabilities. They've turned financial education into a predatory industry that enriches the educators while impoverishing the students. They've weaponized hope, ambition, and desperation into profit centers that destroy more lives than they improve. So what now? Do you never try to improve your financial situation or learn about business? No, this isn't about avoiding financial education or entrepreneurship. This is about recognizing psychological manipulation so you can make rational decisions based on reality rather than carefully crafted emotional manipulation. These manipulation techniques work because they operate below conscious awareness. Simply understanding them fundamentally shifts the power dynamic. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you now know. The next time you see someone standing next to a rented sports car promising to teach you their secret system, you'll recognize it as lifestyle theater, not evidence of expertise. When you see a limited time offer, you'll understand it's artificial scarcity designed to pressure you into buying before thinking. When you see income testimonials, you'll ask about failure rates, average results, and verified proof. When someone tries to recruit your friends and family, you'll recognize relationship weaponization disguised as sharing opportunities. You're not weak for being attracted to these opportunities. You're human, facing professional manipulators who've spent millions of dollars studying exactly how to exploit human psychology for profit. But you're also something they didn't count on. You're someone who understands their tactics, someone who can see through their psychological theater, someone who can choose rational evaluation over emotional manipulation. Knowledge is the antidote to manipulation. Awareness is the foundation of good decisions, and good decisions based on realistic expectations and verified information. That's how real financial progress happens. This is just the beginning. These psychological manipulation techniques aren't limited to get-rich-quick gurus. They're used by cryptocurrency scammers, forex trading educators, real estate course sellers, and every other industry that profits from selling financial dreams to desperate people. But now you know what to look for. Now you understand the game being played with your money and your dreams, and that makes all the difference. The next time you're watching a webinar at 11 p.m., listening to someone promise you can quit your job in 30 days if you just buy their course, remember this moment. Remember that you're not inadequate for wanting financial freedom. You're human, facing billion-dollar manipulation systems designed to exploit exactly that desire. But you're also something more powerful than they calculated. You're someone who recognizes their psychological playbook, someone who can see the rented lifestyle, artificial scarcity, and manufactured social proof for what they really are. Your financial dreams are valid. Your desire for a better life is legitimate. But the people selling you those dreams in exchange for your rent money, they're not your mentors, they're predators. The real path to financial improvement involves boring things like education, skills development, careful planning, and gradual progress. It doesn't involve rented Lamborghinis, countdown timers, or courses that promise to change your life in 30 days. Shocking, I know. Now you know the difference. And once you can see their manipulation tactics, you can choose investments in your actual future rather than their bank accounts. That changes everything.